Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Rankin Mon Valley Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women. The mission of the NCNW is to lead, develop, and advocate for women of African descent, their families, and their communities. My name is Patricia Bluett, and I am the section's corresponding secretary. And joining me is Alice Paylor Days, who is the section's political committee member. We thank all of you who have participated in our previous programs, and we hope that you will join us again today by calling 412 853 8206 with any questions or comments that you may have. The program today honors Black History Month and the Pittsburgh branch of ASALH, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. Our guests today are Ronald B. Saunders, who is one of our associate members, the president of ASALH, and Madeline Turner Dickerson, who is the vice president of membership for ASALH, and she's also our historian for the NCNW, and Anita Russell, who is the vice president for media relations for ASALH, for Dr. Edna B. McKenzie, branch of ASALH. Alice? Alice, you want to introduce our bios for our guests? And I don't think your mic is on. Can you say something? No. Okay, we're not picking up any volume. Well, let me start by introducing our guests and their bios. Ronald B. Saunders is the current president of the Dr. Edna B. McKenzie branch of the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, ASALH. Ronald is an active member of CEIR, which is the Corporate Equality and Inclusion Roundtable, and is also a member of the African American Advisory Council for the Senator John Hines History Center. Mr. Saunders is the founder of the newly formed Penn Hills Advisory Council to the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. Welcome, Mr. Saunders. We also have Madeline Turner Dickerson, and she is the vice president for membership and donations. She is retired from management at the University of Pittsburgh. She has devoted her time and talent to the interests in social justice, African American history, and politics by membership in Association for Study of African American Life and History, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and the National Council of Negro Women and the League of Women Voters. We also have Ms. Anita Russell, and she is the Vice President for Media Relations at the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. Anita is also an author, CEO, and personal transformation coach for the organization. Welcome, everyone. How are you this evening?
Welcome.
Great. Alice, are you able to? Did you find your volume? No, we're still having a difficult time hearing you. Um, okay, I'm going to ask the first question while you keep trying to figure out what's going on with yours. Okay. Um, in the early 1900s, Carter G. Woodson founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, and some years later initiated the celebration of Black History Week. What does that mean to each of you?
Okay, in terms of Carter G. Woodson, there were four other principal founders. Let me give you their names. Brother Woodson had a vision, so he brought other folks of like mind to the other founders of ASALH are William B. Hargrove, George Cleveland Hall, Alexander Jacksons, and James E. Stamp.
Okay.
Basically, because the story was not being told, Brother Woodson and the other founders wanted to provide a vehicle where our story could be told to the masses of all people, not only African Americans, but to the greater mass. You understand, 1915, you have the backdrop of Birth of the Nation, and you have all X amount of lynchings were part of the norm. And so this brother was a very brilliant brother, and he said, "Let's come together and form a solid." That's and it was the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, and it didn't become a solid until 1973. After it was the Association for the Afro American Association, et cetera. They changed it to a solid in 1973. But that's why
Okay.
they did it, because the story wasn't being told and they wanted a vehicle to tell the story.
Okay, sounds great. Alice, by any chance, did you notice the message on the screen where they asked you to go out and come back in again? Did you want to try that? They want you to go out and come back in again. And we still can't hear you. There's no volume. I think they want you to go out altogether and then try coming back in the way you normally would. Okay? And we're going to go on with the questions until you're back with us. Okay? Okay. Can I think you already shared some of the facts, but can you share some of the amazing facts about Carter G. Woodson and his accomplishments?
Okay, Carter G. Woodson was the second brother to actually get a PhD in history from Harvard. He was the first one to graduate from Harvard whose parents were actually enslaved. He was commissioner in the Philippines. I mean, he was a school teacher. Carter G. Woodson, basically, we talk about Carter G. Woodson in the context of being the father of Black history, but actually, Brother Woodson was the father of multiculturalism too. You know, one of the things that Brother Woodson was trying to do in forming the association, along with the other founders, is to publicize, disseminate a vehicle and actually to offset the prejudices of white Americans. He was trying to do that so they would understand our history, the lesson, because in 1915, in that era, it was a living hell for African Americans generally all through the country. And that
Hmm.
was one of the reasons. So white folks would actually learn this glorious history of all these African Americans, the lesson, the prejudice of white people also. I refer to my other branch officers and other colleagues who can make comments
Okay.
also.
Okay.
Actually, I'd like to.
So what, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if you don't mind, I'd like to read a quote from the ASALH website that really provides kind of a concise way of looking at what this organization is about, just to add on to what Ron is talking about.
Oh,
And
that would be great.
yeah, I quote, "We continue his legacy of speaking a fundamental truth to the world that Africans and peoples of African descent are makers of history and co workers in what W.E.B. Du Bois called the kingdom of culture. Asala's mission is to create and disseminate knowledge about Black history, to be, in short, the nexus between the ivory tower and the global public. We labor in the service of Blacks and all humanity. And I think that those sentences right there give you a really good foundational understanding of what not only what Carter G. Woodson started, but what it has grown into.
Okay. All right, thank you. Alice, are you back with us?
I think so. I hope so. Can you hear me?
Wonderful. Yes, we can, loud and
Okay.
clear.
Okay.
Okay, I did question number two, but if you want to go on to question number
Yeah,
three, Alice, we'll
I
just
would
go
like
from
to
there.
ask,
Okay.
as the president of the branch, what are your expectations for the organization for 2023?
To meet the highest expectations relative to reaching out to African American youth and having an impact with African American youth as well as all the other demographics who are not in our fold relative to being members. Now is the time. You look at it in the context of America could be at the crossroads in our history. You see a lot of different things that are happening with America beside global warming and climate change. You see unique 21st century challenges that we have to be up to speed and we want to do in the context of providing the best type of programming and initiatives and events possible to bring more folks into the fold who understand this history, who are actually very competent and very literate in this history. And that would be our goal, to reach as many people possible and to continue the legacy of Brother Woodson, which is a very rich and enduring legacy. And that would be the expectations, to reach more folks than we did in 2022, where we have the Branch of the Year awarded by ASALH, which is a very extremely high honor to be recognized as Branch of the Year. So we want to keep up what we've been doing. And we want to do it better and, if possible, to do even more, particularly among our young people. We think our young people learning this history can be very therapeutic for the soul, particularly for their self-esteem and everyone. That is our expectations. Our expectations. We do that in the context of my expectations or their expectations.
So is there an outreach plan in place or about to be put in place of how you want to reach and pull the young people in? And if so, what can other organizations do to assist you?
One of the things that we were talking about is that I've spoken to several of your members, and there's a lot of things. It's very difficult to get into schools, particularly during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
But we like to get into the school, not
Okay.
only to spread the name of ASALH, but to spread our history in the context of the kids learning this history. Even it means mentoring, doing essays, doing writing contests. Just long as the name ASALH is, I think if they see positive role models, and just a bona fide mentoring program approaching the Pittsburgh public schools. And one of the things that I've been thinking about for a long time is our branch president, is that we still, you can count the number of schools in the country that have African American as a separate discipline, as a requirement for graduation. I'm not talking about something that is camouflaged in the multiculturalism. I'm talking about African American history as a separate discipline, as a requirement from graduation from any, not only any Pittsburgh public school, but high schools throughout the Commonwealth and throughout the nation. That is a goal I would love to see. And I don't know, I guess you can count on one hand where African American history is a requirement for graduation, because it's probably lumped in the multiculturalism, and that's good as long as you're keeping that as a separate discipline where you're getting the full benefits of our rich, enduring legacy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anita,
Mhm.
what does belonging to an organization like ASALH mean to you? And how many years have you been a member?
Mhm.
So I got involved in ASALH quite by accident, actually. I just happened to be at a particular event and I met someone who was connected, who was a member of ASALH. And she and I kind of became friends. And she introduced me to ASALH. And once I understood what ASALH was, it definitely piqued my interest. And it was something that I decided I wanted to go, that I wanted to be a part of. And so that particular year, I believe that was 2019, or so when I first got introduced, or 2018, 19, in that time frame. And the year that I got introduced, one of the things that I did was I went to the national conference. So the ASALH National hosts a huge conference in the fall of every year. And that was my first real eye-opening exposure to what the ASALH organization is really all about, number one. But number two, how this organization can kind of benefit the type of work that I do. And going to the conference gave me just a wide angle view into resources, the historians, the researchers, the university professors, the archivists, and all of these individuals, authors, and all of that, like all in one location. And so it was a very poignant, almost learning experience for me. And once I did that, I continued to be involved. And I got to know some of the leaders a little bit more. And from there, I just grew in the role that I ended up playing. And the last thing I would say along the lines of that question is the way that ASALH really helps me in the work that I do a lot of work in the anti-racism space, activism, and that sort of thing. And it's the history that really helps to drive and inform the work that I do, because now I can speak to people from the standpoint of increasing their racial literacy, increasing their historical literacy, because I have the power of these individuals behind me that I'm learning from, and then I pass that information along in the work that I do.
Okay, thank you. And Madeline, we don't want to leave you out because we haven't heard from you yet. Tell us how someone can become a member of ASALH.
We have several different types of membership. Most common would be the individual membership, and we also have a senior membership, as well as a membership for children. And we also try to recruit institutions and corporations, so we have memberships for them also.
All right, Alice.
And if you visit, and you can see the price of everything by visiting our Dr. Edna B. McKenzie website.
Okay. Well, thank you. Alice?
Yeah, I wanted to go back to Mr. Saunders. Is ASALH doing anything to commemorate Black History Month this month?
Yes, we starting all through the month. You know, we're the founders of Black History Month, so every day during February there will be various signature programs involving social justice authors, as well as Gloria Brown Marshall, who is a member of the ASALH Executive Council of the Manhattan branch. She's actually bringing two brothers over from Angola. Some of the first of the descendants of those 20 odd Africans who landed in Point Comfort in 1619. Not James,
Really?
Point Comfort. And she's bringing over the descendants. They have like a relationship with the folks in Angola, and they've been able to trace those roots over. So we're doing a program on that. And also that our branch is involved in a signature Black History Month program on February the 23rd. And that's a program titled The Black Press. And that will involve editors and publishers and owners of newspapers, African-American newspapers, our Pittsburgh Courier, the African-American Defender, that would be the Washington Informer, and other newspapers, and Rod Dawson, the Courier. And that program will be moderated by Dr. Clint Walker, who's the Dean of Howard University School of Journalism. That's on February the 23rd. That is a virtual program, and that is free. And that's a joint program with the Dr. Edna B. McKenzie branch. And there are other programs. If you go to the ASALH website, there are other programs that you can see all through Black History Month. Almost every day there is a program that can actually whet your appetite. You can learn, and this is what we're doing: disseminating information so you can learn and learn new things.
So we can find that information on the site, the
Oh,
ASALH.
absolutely, absolutely. There's a mountain of information about our Black History Month programs,
Oh, okay, very good.
particularly in social justice program at Howard University. That's ongoing during the month of February, as I said before, with Gloria Brown Marshall, and there are other programs going on.
So there are ASALH organizations throughout the United States. It's just not just in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
we have 40 robust branches around the United States, all doing the work based upon the enduring legacy of the founder, doing programs of substance and content. They're all around the United States. We used to have program branches abroad. We no longer have those, but yes, we have 45 robust branches to help to keep the legacy of Brother Woodson alive.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay. Um,
Can you share a little bit of information about the Carter G. Woodson Historic Landmark?
The Carter G. Woodson Historic Landmark, I mean, that was basically, it took a movement to really get that, in terms of, just like anything, these things just don't happen by osmosis. Just like if you look at Brother Woodson having the vision to start Negro History Week in 26, then that culminates in 1976 with the celebration of Black History Month. It takes a movement to get all these things, just like with the historic landmark. We now, with the Carter G. Woodson home, it's a landmark. Folks are able to visit that and actually partake of all that history, because he is one of the true titans in American history. Absolutely. And we're part of that. We have a relationship. We help to keep up the site with the National Park Service, in collaboration with ASALH.
And where is the landmark located?
That would be in Washington, D.C., the Carter G.
Washington,
Woodson
D.C.
House. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's good.
what are some of the milestone accomplishments of ASALH? And that can be either of you can answer it.
Okay, if you look at number one, they published a journal. Everybody that joins ASALH, they get the journal. It's called the Quarterly Journal on African American History. That is the oldest journal of its kind on African American history in the United States. The Journal of African American History. You get the journal. Okay, also, you get the Black History Bulletin, and that was started by your founder, sister, proud sister, Dr. Mary Bethune. So you get the Black History Bulletin. You get articles of scholars from all over the country. We're not talking about we're talking about some of the best scholars in the world and the country writing in the journal and in the Black History Bulletin as well.
Okay.
I
Are you okay?
refer to anyone else who wants to. I'm doing a lot of talking, so.
I'd like to just add something to that as well. When you asked the question about the Black History Month, the program is a really robust program throughout the entire month. But one of the things that I really love about the way we do Black History Month, or even on a yearly basis, we'll have a theme for that particular year. So, for example, last year and the year before, the theme was Black Health and Wellness. This year, the theme is Black Resistance. So we're going through a lot of the history of what are those different movements, what are the people who were involved, and all of that, just showing that resistance. There's a statement on the website that says the resistance that African Americans we've had that resistance since we arrived on the shores of America. And so it's this ongoing, persistent kind of thing because of that resilience when you think about it in terms of our pursuit for liberty, freedom, and equity in this country. So I just wanted to make that point that every year we have a very specific theme, and then we build the year as well as the Black History Month program around that theme.
Okay.
You know, ASALH was founded when Brother Woodson founded. That was actually is actually a testimony to Black resistance. His mere founding and those other four founders, that was a form of Black resistance.
Mhm. And I understand that the Pittsburgh branch of ASALH received the award in 2022 for Branch of the Year. Can you talk a little bit about that, what that was about?
Madeline, you want to?
Um, yes.
And who was the award received from?
Okay, ASALH was selected Branch of the Year by ASALH. They have
Oh,
historians on the executive council, and they have a committee, and they
uh,
grade various criteria, and that's how that actually happened. We were chosen because of our outstanding programming and a multitude of other things. Basically, the programming, and that's the characteristic. It's not to be taken lightly. If you read the front page of the Courier back on October the 5th, you see that big headline,
yes.
McKinsey Branch chosen Branch of the Year. And as
Hmm.
Dr. Tara White said, that is not to be taken lightly, because if you're talking about that, helps to fulfill the legacy of what Brother Woodson and the other four founders actually stated. So it's not to be taken lightly. And that was a great team effort from all of our officers, including Alexis Clipper, our secretary, Lana Carter, our esteemed historian. We have Latara Jones, our vice president of programs, Anita Russell, who you see on screen, our vice president of media relations, Dr. Madeline Turner Dickerson, who's our vice president of memberships and donations, Judith Saunders, who's the treasurer, and oh, Bernadette Welch, Reverend Bernadette Welch, the pastor, senior pastor of Bidwell Church, is our branch chaplain. And I would always talk about our executive producer, my own daughter, Tamara Saunders, who makes it possible for us to do all this outstanding Zoom programming. And that's how that happened. A great team effort, concentrating on what we had to do and simply getting it done. She was assisted by her aunt, Gwen Howes. So we see everybody has, to Anita's point,
Yes.
we have embraced the ASALH spirit. So it's not just joining membership, if you become part of the ASALH experience. And this is what we want everybody to do. We would like to see every person, not only Black, but white. We have members all over the country, Sister Rollins. We have people all over. We have people in Colorado, California, Maryland, Ohio. So this is what our outreach has done, because we work very well at it, and it was a great team effort.
Wonderful. Anita, what collaborations or partnerships has Asala established in the community?
Well, if I just look at it through the lens, for example, of what we do at the local branch, we have a very strong relationship, as an example, with the Heinz Historical Center. We have that connection. We also are connected to the OZ organization, the Genealogical African American Genealogical and Historical Society. We have that connection. And then there's also a very nice connection amongst the branches. So there have been multiple times when we were putting together a program, and we did that program jointly with another branch.
Mhm.
And it's also beneficial that we have all of these branches. So, for example, we decide to put a program together. I'll give you a quick example. We put a program together last year, and we were recognizing the at the time she was 6 years old, the 6-year-old certified farmer living in Georgia. When we found out about that story, we decided that we wanted to highlight her, that we wanted to bring her on the show. So it was her and her mom. But then we also looked at within our own ranks, we have a member who is an urban farmer who lives in Rochester, New York. So she is Pamela Reese Smith, and she's the president of the Rochester branch of ASALH. So the point being that this isn't this these satellite groups that work exclusively alone. We do a lot of work. So there's a lot of crosstalk. There's a lot of contributing across multiple lines, as well as what we do at the national level. So the conference that I spoke about earlier, one of the things that I love about the conference is that members from the branches all over the country attend that conference. And so you get to meet all of these individuals that are from these various branches, and you make these connections and things like that. So it's definitely driven by a sense of community that starts kind of at the national level, but then it works its way down even more so at the branch level.
Let me
We have a caller on the line, so let's hear what Crystal is calling to ask us. Crystal?
Crystal, you're on the air.
Yes, I have a question for Dr. Saunders. The college boards recently stripped down their advanced placement in African American Studies course. Do you all have a national response to that?
ASALH will be having an official response on Monday. It should be on the website. You know, one of the things, I'll just talk on my own, that you understand what is happening in terms of that whole situation with DeSantis. You compare that to what Nixon did in 1968. That was part of his Southern strategy. That was simply a strategy to propel him into the White House. So basically, you scapegoat Black folks and their issues, as far as busing, the other issues we were actually talking about in 68 over still coming off King's assassination. So Nixon develops this Southern strategy as basically a buffer to African Americans who rebelled in the aftermath of the Dr. King assassination. That's a strategy. So what DeSantis is doing is developing a strategy. It's nothing but a strategy. So Black folks and other folks who are our allies, we have to be proactive. We have to be proactive and not so much reactive in that. We tend to be more reactive. We need to be proactive. We need to stay on the offensive all the time. So it's important that we understand that. That's just my own personal opinion there, but it's a part of his political strategy. And one of the things, all the hysteria over critical race theory, it fails to acknowledge that America's classrooms have always taught a white-centric view of education, everything from A to Z. And I think everyone in this audience understands that. So when you have politicians trying to pimp or hijack to appeal to a certain base, they're trying to appeal to a certain base to curry favor with that base to propel them into the White House or whether the State House. That's what he's doing. So he's doing that as a part of a strategy. So ASALH will have an official response this Monday. I'm told they will have an official response this Monday. Okay. But I just want to say also, ASALH has an initiative with the Woodville Plantation. We have the Woodville Plantations in Bridgeville. It's one of the few remaining plantations. There was a plantation going back to the Neville family. You're going back into the 18th century. So the Woodville Plantation, we do have a working relationship. We're trying to improve the African-American experience at the Woodville Plantation as far as how they portray African-Americans. Black folks did all the work. It brought them all the wealth. So we want their stories told. We want them told accurately, and we want them depicted. And also, we have a project with 2 other ASALH branches and 2 NAACP branches, and that's our Negro Mountain Project. That's in Garrett County, Maryland. So this little branch in Pittsburgh, we journey over 95 miles one way to keep alive the integrity of Negro Mountain and to augment and supplement the name with Negro Mountain African American Historic Site. We are working with many stakeholders in Maryland, as well as in Frostburg, Maryland. Our brother Travis, who's he's actually the vice president of student affairs at Frostburg. He has been our partner, and we're working with the state of Maryland, and that will get involved in a political battle because it becomes a political battle because to have a name change, we're trying to augment and supplement. We're not trying to erase the history. We're trying to augment and supplement to your question. So we have other initiatives that we simply haven't had enough time to talk about, but I want to defer back to anyone else.
Alice, you have another question?
Yeah, I would also like to add, there's a relationship with ASALH and the national in our branch, the Rankin, Mon Valley, Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women. We look to see where we can partner with each other, especially with education and even just the fact that Mary McCall Bethune served as the president of ASALH for 17 years. She was the first Black woman to have that role in the organization. So we really feel that there is a kinship between the two, and we are working to increase that.
Great, great.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And where is the annual ASALH conference that held this year? And if someone that's listening to the show wants to become active with ASALH, who should they get in touch with, when and where?
They should go to our website,
To
and
the
that will
web.
give you all the information. They can write a check to our local branch, or they can um, do it via computer too. They can join either way. But one thing they need to realize, they have to be a member of both. They have to be a member of the local branch as well as the national.
The national, okay.
If you look at our website, I mean, our website, Anita built our website. She also participated in the building of the African country of Burkina Faso. So our website, I mean, it stands out. It's easy. I mean, the historical, you can actually teach a class just from that website. She's done a phenomenal job on that website. Believe me, it's absolutely incredible. And we like to have everybody in the National Council of Negro Women, as far as Rankin Mon Valley. We like for you to become members. We like for you to become members, and everybody out in the audience, because particularly as we go through these crossroads in American history, we need all hands on deck. We need all hands on deck, and that money
Right.
goes to fight battles, to lobby, to do various other things, to put on rich programs of substance and content to keep the legacy of Woodson going. So we need members. Absolutely. We always need members. Thank you, Mike.
What about our youth? Do you have a membership for them
Yeah,
also?
I think Nita did mention her youth. We do have a youth membership. Yeah, we do have a youth membership, and those rates are on the website. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
ASALH this year, last year, ASALH for this year, ASALH gave 2 student memberships to each branch in the country. That was based upon they had a capital campaign, and they are providing 2 memberships for each branch in the country. And that's a very good thing. It's two. That's 2 more than what we had, and you're bringing more youth into the fold. We have a member at Oberlin College as well as in Frostburg State. Before we've had members at Carnegie Mellon, University of Pittsburgh, and as well as Carlow University student members.
And the cost for the student membership is $70,
Okay.
and that's from January 1st through December 31st.
All right. Okay. Alice, I don't see you on the screen. Are you still with us? Okay, we're going to keep moving right along then. Um, as an active member of the African American Advisory Council to the Senator John Hines History Center, how does the History Center recognize Black History Month?
By portraying African Americans in every positive light possible in what we call the Pittsburgh metropolitan area. If you go down, what's been running for now, what is that, 8.5, 9 years, we have what they call the From Slavery to Freedom exhibit. That is something that everybody should see. Not only can you take a class, it might take you, if you want to, it can take you maybe 4 or 5 days. You can take a class on every part of that exhibit. It goes back to the motherland with ships. So everyone can actually do that. And that's part of the African American experience and part of the African American Advisory Council to the Senator John Hines History Center is to enhance the African American experience at the Senator John Hines History Center. I think we do a pretty good job of doing that. And where the Hines History Center being the largest museum in Pennsylvania, and it just has so many artifacts. Beside the African American exhibits, you can see various exhibits. You have exhibits from Italian Americans, Jewish Americans, and archives from all over. I mean, you have the Wiley Avenue Days, the Crawford Grill. Everything is in the Senator John Hines History Center that you would want. As far as the History Center, I think they are doing right now. We're working on a project on the Green Book. We're working on another project on the Martin Delaney Symposium. So there are a lot of things that we do, but almost each day you go to their website, Western Pennsylvania Historical Society or the John Hines History Center website, to find out almost each every other day they're having a program on African American history. As a matter of fact, I think one of their signature programs is coming up with Chris Moore and his producer, Sister Siat. They're doing a program on African Americans in the context of the Pittsburgh experience and Pittsburgh civil rights fighters in the context of Black resistance. So that's coming up pretty soon. I think it's February 15th on that.
Okay. And Madeline, this next question is for you. As the vice president of membership for the Edna B. McKenzie branch, how many members does the Pittsburgh branch have, and what are some of the recruitment strategies?
Okay. I'm not sure of what our membership is right now. Ron, do you know the number?
Well, let me just say this, and I have to preface my remarks by saying typically we don't give those numbers out. When I took over the presidency of the branch, we had 16 members. We have 90 plus members now.
Right.
Okay. We have really four institutional partners.
Great.
And Pat, the way that we try to get new members is participating in programs such as this, and in other organizations, we make contact with them, and we also asked our members to recruit. Right now, Ron has suggested that each member try to recruit 5 new members. So if we have almost 90 people seriously trying to recruit 5 members, we would have quite a large membership. So that is one of the things that we're working on.
Okay. Sounds great.
Is there a membership fee? And if so, how much and how often do you meet and where?
All right. I'll say our general membership is $130 a year. And that's for people between the age of 18 and 64. If you are a senior, 65 or over, it's $80. And quite a few of our members are seniors. And we generally meet monthly, the second Saturday of the month. And that's when we have our program.
Okay.
The second Saturday?
Yes, it's a Saturday.
Okay. And you don't have to tell us the fees. We can look that up online, but go ahead.
Okay. But I did have it in front of me, so.
Yeah. Well, they prefer that you not mention the fees.
Oh, okay.
And where are the meetings held? Are they held at the same place every month?
We are doing our meetings virtually.
Oh, okay.
So we're doing it by Zoom. And we really find that has been to our advantage because we can get speakers from all over the country. And that's something that we would not be able to do if we were meeting in person. But Zoom has really helped us broaden our scope.
Our home is a CCAC Northside campus where Dr. Edna B. McKenzie actually started the Afro-American program there. But since the pandemic, to Madeline's point, we've been meeting on Zoom. In fact, that's how we've been able to grow our membership and reach so many folks that we normally would not actually, in so many branches that even actually folks outside of the country. We've had people from Canada in our programs, but we meet over on Ridge Avenue. I think our last in-house meeting was February 2020. That was with Tim Stevens, and our Black History theme was African Americans and the Vote. Now, we held that at the Homeward Rushton Library. That was our last in-person event. So we've been Zoomed in since June 2020, and that's when the theme was African Americans and the Vote. As a matter of fact, we did a program with Betty Pickett, who's our director of youth outreach, which I failed to mention. We did an excellent program with her. We had the national ASALH executive director in that program, and that was our first Zoom program. And we had folks from the Hampton Roads branch involved in that. Anita was involved in the second program, but we haven't missed a beat since then.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, let's get Anita back involved. Now, Anita,
Yes.
can you tell us about some of the upcoming events for 2023 and anything else you'd like to share about these events?
Mhm. So we're still working on our schedule. So far, we've had two programs under our belt. We did something in January, which I was a presenter, and we did something in February. No, we have something coming up in February, I should say. And the approach that we take is pretty much an ongoing kind of thing. So basically, what we do is we kind of decide, well, these are the dates that we want to have an event, and then we go out and work with individuals in the community, in our networks, to get speakers for a particular topic. And we don't necessarily drive the topic. We allow the speakers to come with a topic oftentimes. That's the way that we will do it. But we do basically have at least one program almost every single month. So we'll do a women's history program. We've done a Veterans Day program. We've done a Malcolm X program. And so throughout the course of the year, we'll have an ongoing schedule of programs that we will do on a regular basis.
Oh, okay.
Let me just say this: on February the 11th at 4 o'clock, the Dr. N. B. McKenzie branch will be presenting. Many of you folks know Dr. Ralph Proctor, and Ralph will be talking about Black resistance in Pittsburgh. That is going to be a great program. He's coming out of retirement for our branch. CCAC is one of our CCAC, his school is one of our institutional partners, and he said, "I only do this for you, for Ron." I mean, he's said he would do it, and we're greatly appreciative of Ralph coming, basically because he's basically on a light schedule. And on March the 11th, we have another program with Dr. Natanya Duncan, and she will present on the following: crossing waters, fighting tides, the efficient womanhood of the Negro Universal Improvement Association, Black Global War. Now, this sister is one of the foremost scholars in the world on Marcus Garvey. So these two programs, February the 11th and March the 11th, you don't want to miss those programs, plus our signature Black History Month program. That's on February the 23rd. The Black Press, the Pittsburgh Press will be featured, Rod Doss.
Okay.
So you don't
Now,
want to miss it. And more information will be forthcoming on
okay.
those programs.
Now,
Okay.
are they all going to be online or are they going to be in person?
Yeah, these programs will be virtual program. Everyone,
Okay.
even the solid program on the 23rd, that is a
Mhm.
free program that will be virtual. And
Okay.
also, we are working on our successful Dr. Charles R. Drew Knowledge Bowl, which we help basically we hope to present that in April of this year. That would be the second annual Dr. Charles R. Drew Knowledge Bowl, which had 3 universities, 2 HBCUs in Frostburg that got such a great reception. So our reach is beyond Pennsylvania. Our reach is with the young people, as Anita said. I mean, we had Harriet Tubman's great grandniece in
Mhm.
our
Wow.
program in May. I mean,
Oh,
Pittsburgh City of
wow.
Pittsburgh declared Harriet Tubman Day, May 14th, and we had 11 folks on that program. We had the Harriet Tubman Gill. We had Dr. Etta Fields Black. We had Ranger Crenshaw from Maryland, who's a scholar on Harriet Tubman. And we had Dr. Jonathan White, as well as Patrick McFay. And to think about the having Harriet Tubman's great
Mhm.
grandniece in that
Yes.
program, what a compliment. So and to
Mhm.
have the youngest farmer in the state of Georgia, the
Mhm.
youngest farmer, organic farmer in the state of Georgia. We've seen a lot of her on TV and a program. So we brought that history. Another program I like to just mention, Betty Pickett did a program. We did a collaborative program with, get this right, a local AKA chapter. What is that? Alpha Alpha Omega chapter on October the 13th. And that was at Carlow University. Excellent collaborative program as we led up to the election. So we do collaborations all the time. We love to do a program with the Rankin
Right.
Valley Pittsburgh
Mhm.
chapter of the National
Okay.
Council of Negro Women. We love to do a program with you.
Oh, we'd love to do it too. Now, so is there a youth component of the organization that works directly with the youth and reaches
Yes,
out to
like I
the
said, Betty Pickett, who most folks know, who's an activist, she is our director of youth outreach.
Oh,
And,
okay.
we've been a little bit handicapped because of the pandemic
Right.
and the
Mhm.
protocols of getting into the school. But we have a lot of ideas, Madeline and Betty have talked about going into the school. We even talked about maybe adopting a school so we could get just to get the solid print in one of the schools that really start the work of helping these kids. As I said
Yeah.
before, learning this history can be so therapeutic for our young people,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
to help
Okay. Now,
offset that
I'd like
self-hatred.
to add too that we are trying to reach out to seniors too, because seniors need to be working with their grandkids to learn the history. So it's important that we reach all age groups.
Absolutely.
mhm.
We really need to be a village to get this project done.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
remember Black History Month program, to Madeline's point, we had two folks come in, and Madeline, you want to talk about that just briefly if you want to. So we had a program coming into senior citizens home or high rise
Oh
or
yes,
restaurant, actually
actually it
doing
was
Black
in a
History.
nursing home, and we had a number of
Yeah.
questions that we asked. So we're using that too, because the questions can generate a discussion on,
Mhm.
on that topic and broader topics. So we've
Right.
done things like that. And that's why I said all we're trying to really target all groups. And one
Absolutely.
other thing, um, we've also had Harvard professors be a part of our program,
Yes.
which,
Okay.
and one of them being our past national president. And she participated in some of our programs. So we're really reaching a lot of people, and a lot of people are willing to come in and try to help us educate not only the Pittsburgh community, but the broader community.
Community. Yeah.
Dr. Evelyn Brooks Hickenbottom. She says she's
Yeah,
a quasi member of the McKinsey branch, and she looks upon it as that. Her father actually worked with Carter G. Woodson in the organization early on. So, she brings that history plus that legacy, and we're so proud to reach as many folks as possible.
Okay. Now, do you have a website that you could share with us so that we can stay in touch with you and find out what's going on?
Needy water.
Yeah. So the website is Edna B. McKenzie PGH asala.org.
Can
I'll
you
say
say that one more time, please?
yes, yes. Edna EDNA B Mackenzie McKenzie PGH ASALH.org.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Thank you. Now, Alice, you're going to get the last question, and we're running out of time as
yes,
usual.
I see that. But I had a few more questions I wanted to ask. Um,
We've lost your volume again.
yeah, I'm getting a lot of static.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have one last question?
I think we covered everything.
Okay. Is there
We
anything
got
that
the Facebook
or that
page.
you'd like to share with us? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead,
You
Alice.
finish. Go ahead. I'm getting a lot of static
Okay,
feedback.
we're getting a lot of static. So what we're going to do is before we thank our guests for appearing on our program, again, we would like to say that Good Health Women's Immunization Network, in other words, Good Health Wins, is our commitment to building an army of good health champions who understand the importance of immunization across the lifespan. We want to educate, advocate, and impact families and communities across the United States to the end of the pandemic, address health disparities, and shine the light on the importance of good health. Through our network of trusted messengers and grassroots activities, Our goal is to increase vaccination rates, help remove barriers, and increase access to vaccinations and vaccines in good health. Alice?
The guest, this is very informative. I've made a lot of notes on this, and it sounds like you guys are doing some great hard work out there. And I know it's hard to reach the youth, but we're losing so many of our youth to the streets. And I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that you all have a youth component. And
Mhm.
I would like for our organization to help you guys recruit the youth and work with the youth.
Absolutely.
Great.
Definitely receptive to that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
And
So we're
Betty
getting
Pickett,
a lot of static.
yeah,
Okay.
we
Go
are.
ahead. Okay. We would also like to thank our listening audience for tuning in. And remember, our live program airs the first Friday of every month at 6 o'clock. Remember to get vaccinated, and good health wins. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.